Hey, this is Jerry Dixon of Warrant, and you are listening to Backstage Access, where the real show begins. Check it out.
Hey, this is Chris with Backstage Access. Warrant has a brand new record out, Louder, Harder, Faster, and we are super lucky to have bassist Jerry Dixon here with us today to tell us all about it. Well, hello, how are you doing today, Jerry?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
Sure.
So Warrant has a brand new record out, Louder, Harder, Faster, and it's been 6 years in between albums since Rockaholic. So tell us a little bit about how this new album came about.
Well, we've been working on it for probably about 2 years, and finally got in and cleared the deck of touring and all the other distractions, and just made it a priority to go get it done. And finally, it's here. The baby has arrived. We're pretty proud of it, and it came out better than expected, I think. Okay.
Now, what's the writing process like for a Warrant record?
Pretty much what we do is we a couple of us have home studios, and what we do is just demo things at home.
Okay.
And email it to each other, and from that point, we figure out what works and what doesn't. And then usually what happens is Robert, who lives in Arizona, comes to my house in Vegas, and we set the mic up and pull the tracks up and start recording with him. And from that point, we try and lay the demos down of everything, and then in a democratic way, we vote on songs.
Okay.
Limit it, we kind of whittle it down to, the top 12 or 13 songs. And that's it, really.
Okay, now it's been out for almost 2 weeks now, and I've heard a lot of buzz about it, and people are saying it's a heavier record than some of the earlier Warrant records. Do you think that's true? And if so, how has the band's sound kind of evolved over the years?
It is a little bit heavier, I think, but I think, heavier in like a real rock way, not a metal way.
Right.
And I think we approach this record a little different, where normally when I write songs, I'm very conscious of the vocals and the theme and the melodies. And on this record, it was kind of the backwards. I with writing with Robert now, this is our second record, I was more concentrating on the music part of it, and started that way, and figured, I know Robert can write lyrics to this, and I know he can write melodies to this and a chorus for that. So, I just wanted to make sure musically it just was really moving and had great riffs and cool, just a good feel to each song.
Okay. Now, if you would, take us through one track in particular, because it happens to be one of my favorite from the record, Music Man. It's just got a very cool storyteller vibe. How did that particular song come about?
Well, Music Man was almost not on the record, believe it or not. It was something that, it was a song that I had written probably about 5 years ago, and I had Robert over, and we recorded it the way I kind of had it, and for some reason it was recorded super slow. It was like so dragging, and we couldn't make it sound good, and we kind of put it on the shelf. I think we even worked on that for Rockaholic. And one night, I was about 2 weeks before we started the record, and Robert was going to come out the next day. I was just on my computer and going through music, and I was like, oh, Music Man, wait a minute, I remember that song. And clicked it on, and I was like, damn. I called Robert. I'm like, dude, I don't know what it is, but this song sucks because it's too slow. I said, what do you think about, working on the lyrics and re-recording it when you come out and speed it up? And so he listened to it and was like, yeah, I agree. And we started the song from the beginning. And, thank God we did, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad it made it onto this one.
Yeah. And then he's like, what do you think about making it, more about a story about a little kid kind of seeing the Music Man on the corner? And I was like, I love that idea. So he kind of came up with the storytelling vibe of it, and then we sped the whole song up musically, and so it was kind of a bottom of the ninth save, I guess.
Now, you also had Jeff Pilson on board for production this time around. So what was your experience like working with him in the studio? And, being that he's also a bass player, did he bring kind of any new ideas to the table as far as bass sounds go?
He had, he's a super talented guy. And we went to his studio and about, fell over. He collects like vintage equipment and basses and guitars and microphones, and he's just like a mad scientist. And he pulled out like a 1958 original Fender P bass, and I was like, oh my god, that's like the holy grail of basses. I'm like, Jeff, guess what I'm playing? So he let me use that, which was super cool. And he just, it was very, I guess, a comfortable feel and vibe with Jeff. He didn't like try and manhandle us and try and change things and try and overthink the music too much. He just kind of tidied everything up, and his main thing was just, let's make it feel good. If it's not perfect, that's okay, which is something we weren't really used to. When you make a record and you're looking at it visually in a Pro Tools session, a lot of people tend to try and correct every single note and every hit and every kick drum, and Jeff wasn't like that. He was just like, nah, it's great, it's way off, but it's cool, I love it. And that was kind of the theme, if it felt good, leave it.
Cool. Now, you've got a couple videos out, and one of them is I Think I'll Just Stay Here and Drink, and that was for the professional bull riders. Could you tell us how Warrant kind of became involved with the PBR?
Yeah, it's kind of a cool story. We did a benefit show last summer in right near Pueblo, Colorado, where the PBR is based, and the CEO happened to be at the show because he's a big supporter of veterans, and he loved us. He's a super big rock fan, and I don't know if you've ever gone to the PBR, most of the music is rock and roll. It's not country like you would think it would be.
Right.
And one thing led to another, and he booked us at the World Finals last year in Vegas, and we actually met him at that show. And this big 6'5" cowboy, comes walking up and they introduce himself, and I'm just in the hallway, and he's like, I'm Sean, I'm the reason you're here. And he was just super cool. He's just a really down-to-earth guy that really has a passion for music, and we hit it off with him and just kept in touch. And he just, he's very hands-on with the PBR and the music and the show that they put on. And he just said, I got this crazy idea. Tell me I'm crazy if you think I am. And he's like, what do you guys think about doing this song? We want like a new PBR party anthem theme for 2017 and 18. And I was familiar with the song, and I was like, you know what? That's a great idea. That song could be so Warrant, and it just wasn't a far stretch for us. So he came up with the idea. I wish I could take credit for it. And and then there you have it. New baby was born with the PBR.
Cool. Now, a lot of bands from your era, they're not putting out any new material. They just kind of go out there and keep touring on their back catalog. How important is it for the band to just keep making new music and kind of keep everything fresh and creative juices flowing?
It's really important to us. We could very easily do that, but it just that doesn't feel right to us. It never did, and it probably never will. This is like the third record we've done without, our past singer, Janie. And
right.
It's just something that, if you're a musician and you write music, you just constantly need an outlet, even as a band. We don't want to, playing Heaven and Cherry Pie are great in Uncle Tom's Cabin, but you got to have something to look forward to, something fresh. And, it helps, it helps the band as well as it helps us, keep our minds fresh. And it's also cool for the fans. So there's a lot of pluses to doing new music. It's definitely not financial,
right,
like it used to be.
Right.
It's just, you just do it for the love of the game,
Absolutely. Now, you've got some tour dates coming up, but you were also on the bill for this year's M3 Festival. How did that go, and do you enjoy performing in that festival-type atmosphere?
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, that was, I guess this year was the biggest year they had, and it was awesome. It was great. There was, I think, about 13,000 people there, and it's like a high school reunion. It's every single band you've ever known or hung out with. Is backstage, so it's a great time. It's a cool. I wish there was more festivals, along the lines of that, because they do really well, and they're always packed, and you just scratch your head going, wow, this music's really popular. Why don't we do more of these?
Now, you will be back on the road in support of this new record, so can you tell us a little bit about what you've got coming up and what fans can expect from the shows?
Yeah, we're definitely busy. We've been out all year, and we're going to continue to tour miscellaneous shows all over the country. And probably the best way to find us and track us down is go to warrantrocks.com. And we add dates on there pretty much every day. There's new stuff coming in, and we'll be out. Yeah, we'll play. We're super conscious of playing the hits. We're not going to be one of those bands that you go see and pay to go see, and then you walk in and they're like, "Hey, guess what? We're playing the entire new record tonight." We're definitely don't do that. We sprinkle in the new stuff with the old stuff.
Okay, super. Now, when you're not busy touring and recording, what have you been doing in your downtime, if there is such a thing?
I like to just be home with my wife, and we have 5 crazy parrots that we adopted and take care of, and we just hang out with our birds, and we're just pretty much homebodies. I live by Lake Mead, so I go fishing a lot, and camping and kind of outdoor stuff like that.
Very nice, very nice. Now, I read that you've been playing the bass since about 13, so what first got you into the bass and rock and roll?
Well, it was forced on me because at 13, one friend played guitar and one friend played drums, so by default we needed a bass, and so they said, okay, you're going to be the bass player. And I said, well, all right, I don't even know what that is, but I like it. I'll try it. And, I immediately, fell in love with it as soon as I picked it up.
Hey, this is Chris with BackstageAxxess, and we are super stoked to have with us today comedian, former TV host, and total metalhead, Don Jamieson.
So I could play my bass during the classes, but the teacher said, you can do that, but you have to march at Disneyland and all this stuff. And I was like, oh. I did it for the love of playing.
Well, we're very glad you picked it up, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. We sure do appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate your interest and your time for our band and the support for the new record.
Absolutely.
We're like, Johnny, we're big fans. Can we get a picture? And he goes, oh, yeah, no problem. But now the bodyguard sees us talking to Johnny. He's all pissed off, right? He starts charging us like he's a 15-year-old chasing a Pokemon, right?
Mary met a new guy out on the strip last night. He had the sweetest eyes, told her pretty lies, made her feel just